world news, a simple shoebox that will bring smiles to children across the globe. Plus, a special shopping trip that will make a place in Robbinsdale feel more like home for people living with HIV and AIDS. But first, trying to find a solution for mountains of college debt.
We're seeing more and more student debt than any time in our history.
12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Recent college grads are shouldering a big burden.
Millennials are struggling to pay off student loans after they graduate. Eric Nelson joins us now to talk about an event focused on this very issue. Eric?
Yeah, Mike and Delane, college debt was a hot topic today at the Millennial Summit in Northeast Minneapolis. Many students are crippled by mounds of debt. They have trouble paying off student loans after they become part of the workforce. It has become a very serious issue.
Right now, we're facing student debt larger than credit card debt, larger than mortgage loans. First time in United States history that we've seen this type of debt facing our students, and so we do have to do something about it.
The Millennial Summit took place at Sport Engine in Northeast Minneapolis, a company started by millennials that has a Silicon Valley look and feel. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar spoke to the group. She says times have clearly changed for college students entering the work world.
A lot of them are working in what we call the gig economy. They have a lot of gigs. They work for different bosses, and then they don't have a pension or a 401k. And their training is different that you need for the jobs that we have. We didn't have robots in companies when I was growing up.
Senator Klobuchar says some solutions to the debt problem are finding ways to refinance loans, lower college costs, and make it easier for millennials to save money. And Mike and Delane, Senator Klobuchar also says this might be an issue in the presidential election next year.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Well, fewer students bike or walk to school than in the past. It's an issue that the city planners in Brooklyn Park would like to change. On Monday night, the City Council voted to accept a bike and pedestrian plan developed by a Minneapolis consulting firm. The plan includes upgrading sidewalks, adding more trails, and improving connections to existing trails. However, council members weren't quite ready to move forward. They want to discuss the plan further to get a better handle on costs and other concerns. Meantime, changes to the Metro Blue Line extension project will move forward. Among the changes, a Met Council Transportation Committee approved adding a park and ride at the Golden Valley Road station. For that to happen, the Met Council would have to acquire land from the Minneapolis Park Board, something that still needs to be approved. The 13-mile light rail route from Target Field to Brooklyn Park will head to a full Met Council vote on December 9th.
A big, bright change is coming to a Brooklyn Park bowling alley. The Brunswick zone along Brooklyn Boulevard and Unity Avenue will soon get a new look. Right now, most of the facade is beige. That will change to red and white. The word bowling will also be added. According to city staff, some people don't realize it's a bowling alley, and this will help. Some council members, however, felt the change will be too much for that area. Councilmember Rich Gates even called the change tacky. The change was approved, though, 4-3. A housing facility for people living with HIV and AIDS is getting ready to open its doors in Robbinsdale.
As Sonia Goins reports, part of getting Clare Terrace ready includes a way to make it feel more like home.
The city of Robbinsdale has been incredibly welcoming to us.
Finishing touches are being made to Clare Terrace. It's a busy place even before it opens, as crews deliver furniture and spiffed up the building. They're on a time crunch. Next week, residents will begin moving into the 36-unit studio apartments.
We are here to be able to provide that support and to provide affordable housing for people at a time when they're unable to pay their own rent.
Clare House is also getting some things to help make this place seem a little bit more like home. The Heart of Robbinsdale group is giving them a special gift.
Yeah, it's really a treasure. You got some good work here.
The Heart of Robbinsdale donated $500 towards art.
We just felt that it was really something that we could do to support their mission and welcome people to Robbinsdale.
Everything in this gallery is just amazing.
Today they shop for art at the Robin Gallery Historical Museum.
That's very cool.
There are a lot of nice pieces to pick from.
They're all artists within the state of Minnesota. That's the requirement. A Minnesota theme from Minnesota artists.
That's awesome.
It didn't take long for something to catch their eye.
I think we might have found a window.
The photograph will surely remind folks of Birdtown.
And it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a warmth, the nestling of those eggs. So.
A painting of a lake will also go up on the wall.
There's certain hues in there that I think are going to draw quite nicely with the space that it's going to go into.
The welcome gifts are a reflection of Robbinsdale.
We want them to kind of get an appreciation of the warmth that this community has had in welcoming us.
In Robbinsdale, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
A special open house will take place on December 1st, which is World AIDS Day. The spirit of giving is alive and well at a New Hope warehouse. Volunteers are preparing hundreds of thousands of shoeboxes that will be shipped to children living in poor countries. It's called Operation Christmas Child. Many of the boxes were donated by church and community groups. They contain small gifts like dolls, school supplies, and personal hygiene items for children who may never have received a gift before.
We go to places in the world where there's been a war, a natural disaster, poverty, or famine. So we go to some very hard places of the world. And our shoeboxes in the last 20 years, we've been doing it for 20 years now, they have gone to over 150 countries.
The boxes being packed today are going to Trinidad and Tobago. Well, imagine trying to live with a condition where you want to eat constantly because you never feel full.
That's the reality facing people with a genetic disorder known as Prader-Willi syndrome. In today's Health Check, a program in the northwest suburbs is aimed at helping people with the syndrome live a better life.
How many is that?
A trip to the gym is one way to maintain your overall health. But for this group of women at the Lifetime Fitness in New Hope,
Next set, or you want to take a break?
there are more factors at play than simply trying to burn a few calories.
With Prader-Willi, you have that where you want to eat and eat and eat and eat, and we could absolutely kill ourselves.
You're doing a good job.
49-year-old Lenore Johnson and these other women all have Prader-Willi syndrome. The genetic disorder results in uncontrollable hunger, stunted growth, and intellectual disabilities.
When I was in other homes, I had depression and suicide, but that, I think a lot had to do with my Prader-Willi.
Today, Lenore and several other women live in this New Hope group home. It's one of 7 such homes in the metro where direct care supervisors help them manage the syndrome with a diet and exercise plan.
They all have some desired weight range that we will all determine and agree on as the team.
Staff members help them stay on their path to success through a rewards program and by incorporating exercise into their everyday lives at home and at the gym.
It's just really, really cool to see all the success that they have.
Good job.
Case in point, Lenora says she once weighed 228 pounds. Now she's at 110 and works hard to maintain that.
I'm making myself feel good, and I know that I'm keeping my weight in my weight range.
She and the other women are able to keep that weight off thanks to the help and guidance of others. But if there's one thing Lenore would want people to know about Prader-Willi sufferers, it would be this.
I think a lot of people make fun of people if they're overweight. I don't think you should be made fun of because it's not fair. People can't help it if they have a syndrome or if people are overeating.
In New Hope, Delane Cleveland, 12 News. Well, experts say that most people with Prader-Willi syndrome will need specialized care and supervision throughout their lives. Well, coming up, our interview with Hennepin County Sheriff Rich Stanek.
Yeah, what he says about the state's growing prison population. Then later in sports, the Wayzata girls hockey team is off to a fantastic start this season. We'll hear from the Trojans.
But first, rain moves into the forecast Wednesday. It looks like the best chance is early afternoon. Welcome back. A legislative task force and law enforcement groups are both taking a second look at how some people are sentenced for low-level offenses.
Is jail always the right answer? Sheriff Rich Stanek is part of a law enforcement group that says too often it's the only answer.
I mean, you look at Minnesota, we went from about 10,000 state prisoners several years ago to what's now 12 to 13,000. And people are asking the really tough question, the right question about who are those folks and why are they in prison and what else can we do to divert them from prison? Not just from a cost savings measure, because that would be selling the public short, but from kind of the looking at, once you get a criminal record, it's really hard to get a job, really hard to get housing, really hard to get stabilized back into society. Now, no one's ever going to accuse me as the sheriff of this county of being soft on crime, but I am realistic, pragmatic, and you got to take a look at who's coming in the front doors of the local jails before they ever get to the prisons.
And some of these people have committed lower level drug offenses. Some maybe have mental health issues and maybe shouldn't be in the jail.
Sure. You look at our jail here in Hennepin County, we book about 40,000 people a year. 70% of them are repeat customers. So if I wanted to reduce the jail population, hence the prison population, I would deal with the repeat offenders. Many of those repeat offenders are on the lower non-property misdemeanor level. There are some arrest and detention alternatives that we need. Of course, it all costs money at the end of the day, so then the legislature or local counties or cities say, well, how are we going to fund all this? And I think you can have a combination of reducing jail population, hence the state's prison population, while at the same time talking about lower crime rates and providing for safety and security in our communities.
What kind of changes are in the works and how long does that take to accomplish?
I think if you take a look at the non-violent offenders, that's a place to start. But you also have to have arrest and detention alternatives to simply law enforcement having the only alternative, which is taking them to jail. And right now,
as you heard, Sheriff Stanek pointed out that he is not soft on crime, but he says jailing someone who needs mental health or drug treatment does not reduce crime. Well, coming up, Santa's making a list, checking it twice, and also reading your letters.
But first in sports, the Armstrong boys basketball team is ready for a big season. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
A little early season trial by fire, I guess, for a basketball team that lost some really good starters this year.
Definitely had some good players leave last year. Have some talent remaining, though, so it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out for the Falcons. The Armstrong boys basketball team is shooting for a good season in 2015-2016. The Falcons did graduate 6 seniors, including 3 long-term starters in Sean Burns, Evan Nolan, and Jerome Dixon. So there'll be some new faces in the lineup this winter, but there is good talent on hand. 3 varsity regulars are back. Dynamic guard Juby Alati and talented brothers True Thompson and Race Thompson in the front court. Add in players from an undefeated JV team last season, and this could be a pretty good year.
I think we have a lot of potential. We're just starting to reach that during practice, and I think we have a high ceiling this season.
You know, on last year's JV team, a lot of them had to wait their turn. They were 25-0, and usually on a 25-0 JV team, there's probably guys good enough to play varsity, but with all the good players we had that were seniors, you know, that didn't happen for some of them, and the same thing's probably going to happen this year, and they got to keep a good attitude about that. So, yeah, there's nothing written in stone right now, and yeah, they're definitely fighting for playing time.
The Falcons have had a resurgence as a program of late, winning at least 19 games the last 3 seasons. They don't ease into this year after facing a very tough Wayzata team in the season opener tonight, Tuesday. The Falcons host arch rival Cooper and last year's state runner-up Champlin Park next week.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for us just to see what we have, see how we're going to do this season. But it's only the first couple games of the season, so it doesn't matter if we win or lose those, just improve on it.
We'll get tested early, but you know, that'll be good. We'll be able to learn from it, and hopefully that will increase our level of play then for the next string of games we have after that.
Our 12 Sports game crew will be on hand for the Falcons game at Wayzata Tuesday night. Watch it live at 7 o'clock on Channel 12 and 12.tv, or catch the replays Wednesday night at 10 or Thanksgiving night at 7. Wayzata's girls hockey team came so close to a trip to the state tournament last season, losing in overtime to Minnetonka in the Section 6AA final. With much of that team back, the Trojans are off to a great start this season. Entering Tuesday night, they are 4-0 and have scored 21 goals while allowing just 1. Needless to say, they're happy with the start.
We've been getting really a lot of pressure in the offensive zone and having a lot of scoring opportunities, and our defensive zone has been really strong as well.
From top to bottom, forward, D, goalie, they've all been playing great. The forwards are really focused on back-checking effectively, and then working with our defensemen to make sure that we're not just back-checking for nothing. And, they did a nice job in the D zone, and Sarah's stepped up when she's had to. There's been a lot of breakaways where she had to make some nice saves.
The Trojans start Lake Conference play in mid-December. They've lost 1-goal games in the past 2 section championships. Those losses sting, but also can be a motivating force.
Oh yeah, we were pretty bummed about that last year, so in the summer even we were just trying to focus on off ice and even on ice stuff to get us ready and in shape for this season.
After hosting Tartan Tuesday night, the Trojans are off from game action until next Tuesday, December 1st, when they host Rochester John Marshall. Jay Wilcox and I put the finishing touches on the fall sports season on this week's Sports Jam show on Channel 12, including the naming of our all-area teams in football and volleyball. Here's part of what you'll see.
We begin our defense with Wayzata tackle number 26, Corey King.
Olsen looking left, can't find anyone, and down he goes, back on the 42-yard line. Corey King with the sack.
King finished second on the team in total tackles and led the Trojans in forced fumbles. He was named All-District and First-Team All-Metro.
Our wide receivers include number 21, Demario Armstrong of Osseo. Armstrong was superb in the playoffs in helping the Orioles to a state title. A good leaper with great hands, he caught 66 passes for 935 yards and 12 touchdowns, earning first-team All-Metro status.
Champlin Park's number 10, Janae Alderson, was a dangerous middle and outside hitter for the Rebels. Alderson was named first-team All-State, and she finished second to Hilly on the Rebels in kills with 389, while leading the team with 63 blocks. Alderson will play next year at Providence College in Rhode Island.
You can see the rest of those teams and more this week on Sports Jam. It airs through Wednesday at 3:30, 6:30, and 9:30 p.m. on Channel 12 and 12.tv. That's a look at sports for today.
Be looking forward to that. Thanks,
Yes.
John. All right. Still ahead, how children in the Northwest Metro can reach out to Santa.
Yeah, Santa's helpers are put to work next.
Finally, in a world of email and instant messaging, Santa still prefers the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, Santa will be accepting handwritten letters from children now through December 11th. Families can drop off letters at 3 locations in Plymouth. That's Plymouth City Hall, the Plymouth Ice Center, and the Plymouth Creek Center. And we received word from Santa's helpers that Santa will even write back. Just remember, letters must include a self-addressed stamped envelope. It's pretty cool. Get a letter back from Santa.
That's why I never got what I wanted from Santa. I forgot to include the self-addressed stamped envelope.
Or you emailed him.
Yeah, silly Delane.
That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you again tomorrow at 4 o'clock.